Okay, so we are going to put everything together. So this is just a review. So remember, if you just have one operation, this is a one step. The opposite of subtracting is to add. So you would add 8 to both sides. So you would put in -5 plus 8, which is 3. That would be your answer. On number 2, the opposite operation of dividing is times. And remember, you can multiply those two right there. So remember, you want to multiply those. So 13 times -2. So x equals -26. On number 3, you might want to rewrite that as x plus 10, and then equals 14. Now it's really easy to tell the opposite of adding is to subtract. So subtract 10 on both sides. 14 minus 10 is 4, so 4 equals x. On number 6, remember this is multiplication, so remember this is times, and the opposite of times is divide. So you want to divide, and you divide by whatever is on the outside, so divide by -6. So x equals, and then 48 divided by -6 is -8. That's your answer. Now on 5, you've got two-step equations. So I want to rewrite that first. 4x minus 6 equals 78. So if you'll rewrite it first, and then you can solve it from there. So the very first thing, the opposite of subtracting 6 is to add 6. So add 6 to both sides, and you get 4x equals 84. The opposite of multiplying is to divide. So now you're going to divide. So I'm going to divide by whatever's in front, which is 4. So I divide by 4. So x equals 21. On number 6, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Even though there's a fraction, you do the exact same thing. You get rid of the number that does not have a variable first. So the opposite of -1 is +1. So you've got 2/5 x equals 10. Now, another way to do this, I'm going to write this fraction as 2x over 5 equals 10. All I did is I moved the x up there, okay? So 2x over 5. Remember, when that happens, you can multiply this right here. So you want to times, okay? You want to times those two. So you've got 2x equals 50. Okay, so remember, you're going to multiply those. And then the opposite of multiplying is to divide. Now you can use the division symbol, you can certainly do that, but you also need to recognize it, you also need to recognize it with the fraction bar, so divide by 2. That also means division, okay? That is the same thing as division. So this would be x equals 25. All right, on number 7, so this is when we have distributive property. So if you've got to have parentheses, you've got to do that first. So 2 parentheses 3 is going to be 6, and then I bring down the a. 2 parentheses 2 is going to be 4. So I say +4 equals, and then -8 comes straight down. Now you can solve it just like we did before. So the opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. And remember, when you put that in your calculator, you always enter from the top down. So -8 minus 4, which is -12. And then the opposite of multiplying by 6 is divide by 6. So your final answer, A equals -2. On number 8, you have 2/3 times 6. Now, some of you forgot how to enter that. 2/3 times 6. So remember, you make your fraction, control divide, 2 over 3, parentheses, and then you're going to have parentheses 6. So 2/3 parentheses 6 enters, and that's 4. So 4x, and then I have to do 2/3 times -9. So I'm going to do the same thing, control divide, 2 over 3, and then parentheses, and it's a -9. And then enter, and you get -6. So that -6 equals, and then you bring down the -34. That does not change. So now we solve it. The opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. So 4x equals 28. When I do -34 plus 6. And then the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So divide by 4, and you get x equals 7. On number 9, you want to collect like terms. So you have negative 16x plus 9x. So negative 16 plus 9 is negative 7x. The other thing that I have is minus 139. I just bring that down, equals 148. Now I can solve it. So the opposite of subtracting is to add 139. So I'm going to add 139 to both sides. Negative 7x equals 289. And again, the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So I'm going to divide by whatever's out in front. So negative 7. Divide by negative 7. So x equals negative 41. On number 10, you want to collect like terms. So I put the x's together. That's going to be 10x minus 77 equals 103. Okay. The opposite of subtracting is to add 77. So add 77, and you get 10x equals 180. The opposite of multiplying by 10 is to divide by 10. And so x equals 18. All right, on part 3. Now, if there are two variables, remember you've got to get the variables on the same side, okay? So 8p has to move over here, negative 5 has to move to that side. And remember, when you move it, you've got to change the sign. So positive 8p becomes negative 8p, okay, that moves that. And then negative 5 becomes a positive 5. Now, once I move it, that's when I draw my line, and I'm going to collect like terms. And remember, start from the top. So 2 minus 8, that's negative 6p equals 1 plus 5 is 6. And now we just finish it. The opposite of multiplying is to divide. So I'm going to divide by negative 6. So p equals negative 1. On number 12, so I want the negative x to come over here. That's going to be plus 1x. And then I want negative 17 to move to the other side, so it's going to be plus 17, positive 17. Okay, that gets rid of those. So negative 2x plus 1 is negative 1x equals, and 6 plus 17 is 23. And then when you the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So you divide by whatever's in front. So x equals negative 23. And then part 4. Now in part 4, you are going to have to combine everything together. So on this side, is there anything to get rid of? And there is. The parentheses. I have to do the parentheses first. Okay? So negative 2 parentheses 4 is negative 8x. And then you have to do negative 2 parentheses negative 12, which is positive 24. Now, on the right side, there's no parentheses, so you just bring it down. Nothing changes. Now you want to get the variables on the same side. So negative 7x comes over here, becomes plus 7x. That goes away. And then you have positive 24 becomes negative 24, and that goes away. Then you can draw your line. So negative 8x plus 7x is negative 1x equals, and negative 9 minus 24 is negative 33. And the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So I'm going to divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, so x equals 33. Okay? On 14, on the left side, I don't have anything, so I'm going to bring it down. Negative 2x minus 225. I can't collect like terms, and there's no parentheses. Equals, on this side, I don't have a number, so I put a 1 there. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3x, and negative 1 times 19 is negative 19. Now, I want to move negative 3x to the other side. That becomes positive 3x, so he's gone. And I want to move negative 225 to the other side, so that becomes positive 225. And he's gone. So now, you can, negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1x equals, negative 19 plus 225 is 206. And the opposite of multiplying by 1 is to divide by 1. So x equals 206. Number 15. So I have parentheses on this side, so 5 times 1 is 5x. And then I also have 5 times 2, which is 10. Bring down your equal sign. I have 2 times 12, which is 24. And then I have 2 times negative 1, which is negative 2, and I have to bring down the x. Now, I want to combine my like terms, so negative 2x moves over, so that's positive 2x. Remember, when you jump the fence, you have to change the sign. And then positive 10, when he crosses the line, he becomes negative 10. And it helps to mark those off when you move them. So 5 plus 2 is 7, so that's 7x equals 14. You divide by 7, and so x equals 2. On number 16, you don't have any parentheses, but you got like terms. So 8 minus 2 is 6x. 5 plus 4 is 9. And then you bring down your equal sign. And on the left side, I'm good. What I might do, though, is I might rewrite it 4x minus 21. Some of you may want to rewrite that. You don't have to. Okay, draw your line. 4x moves to the other side. It becomes negative 4x. Positive 9 moves to the other side. It becomes negative 9. Now draw your line. So 6 minus 4 is 2x equals negative 21 minus 9 is negative 30. And when you divide by 2, you get x equals negative 15. Now at 17, you have distributive on both sides. So I have to distribute 2x, and I have to distribute 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6, equals, and then you have to do 1/2 times 6. So again, make sure you do control divide, 1 over 2, and then you've got parentheses 6. Okay, enter. So that's 3. Half of 6 is 3. So that's 3x. And you got to do the same thing with the negative 16. Okay, so you got 1/2 and parentheses, and that is a negative 16. So make sure you put negative 16, enter. You get negative 8. So make sure you do minus 8. Now draw your line, and we're going to move the x over, so that's negative 3x. And I'm going to move the 6 over, and so that becomes plus 6. And then draw your line. 2 minus 3 is negative 1x equals negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. Divide by negative 1, and so x equals positive 2. Okay, and the last one. When you don't have a number in front of the parentheses, you put a 1 in front of it. So negative 1 times 1 is negative 1x. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7 equals, and then negative 6x plus 8 just comes down. Now you're ready to move, get the x's on the same side. So negative x becomes plus 6x when he jumps the fence, and negative 7 becomes positive 7 when he crosses over. So negative 1 plus 6 is 5x equals 8 plus 7 is 15, and then you divide by 5. And x equals 3. And that's just a combination of all the steps that we've done. Solving in 1 steps, 2 steps, combined like terms, and distributive. So multi-step equations.